welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the heart. I'm your host, Israel, and my guest today is someone I've been dying to talk to. Lola, circus performer, artist, creative person, and now you're doing all these retreats. So I definitely want to talk all about that. Thanks for coming to the Sanctuary today.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to chat and let you get to know more about me.
I can't wait. So, like, how did you get into circus?
Ooh, how did I get into circus? Kind of like, it's so funny. It's kind of like the West Coast thing that happens sometimes when you go to the West Coast. I originally come from Ontario. So when I got to the West Coast, I went to my first music festival, as some of us do. And I saw someone hula hooping. I saw someone spinning poi. I saw people doing circus in very unconventional spaces. And it was just epic. It was really amazing to see. And then after that, I bought my first hula hoop from a girl off the beach in a van, and the rest is history.
Like, I mean, you liked it so much and you just wanted to try it right away.
Well, yeah, it was like it was so mesmerizing. And I was like, it's a hula hoop, right? Like what she's doing is hula hooping. So I looked on Craigslist. I found someone was selling one for $25. And I was like, okay, why not? So I tried it out. And then it started happening when you started getting those endorphins, those happy feelings when you like work on something or you're like really try to get something and your body reacts to it. It was like the first time I really felt that mind and body connection where I was like, hey,
Wow.
I'm trying this, I'm doing this. Oh my God, I'm actually doing it. It took time, it took practice, but to feel really good about yourself, like those
Mm.
endorphins, and you just keep going and you keep going and going. And then one day someone was like, you're really good. Do you want to like do this like for money? And I was like, what? Someone wants to pay me? Yeah. And then I didn't really see circus as this big thing until I like realized I could get a different kind of value on it, that someone else had value in me doing circus, which was really
Mm.
cool to see. And that kind of gave me that like, oh, I can do this more than just for myself. And like
Mm.
it will actually like really touch people or make people feel a certain way or like do something like that.
So, like, when you started practicing, did you do events or you were just like
On
doing
it,
at the back, at your home?
honestly, it started off in my backyard. And then it started getting into like the community of circus and flow arts. So there's circus and flow arts where there were weekly jams, and I started getting to know the local people within the Vancouver community, some underground studios that popped up that really house like prop jams. And then I kind of found a hula hoop community and a hula hoop mentor in my early years, and that was really cool. And I
Mm.
through that I was able to learn more, share skills and experience. And the mentors that I had were already in kind of the circus profession. They had
Mm.
like 5 to 10 years on me already when I first started. So seeing them on what they're doing, and it was really cool. It was very like, oh wow, like there is more to just doing it in your backyard.
So, how was that experience of the first time you were getting paid to perform?
Oh wow. There was a lot. There was a little bit. What was that? Oh my gosh. Thinking about the first time I got paid to perform. Um, you know what? I think it was one of those things where I just couldn't stop smiling because I was having so much fun and thinking in my head, "Oh my gosh, someone is paying me for this. Are you kidding me?" Like I didn't, you grow up in a certain way and society tells you to do and be certain ways. You don't think you can actually be happy and make money. That makes sense.
Like, you have to just suck it up and go to
Oh,
work
you
and
just
do
go
the
to
thing.
work, right? You do the thing, but like actually being like really like joyful and like really like excitable. And that's what I think like performance and entertainment and art is kind of, it gives you, you can use different parts of yourself and bring in that joy. And that was the one compliment I kept getting when I first started hula hoop was like, you look like you're having so much fun. And that sticks with me so much because I am having so much fun all the time.
Mm.
And, sometimes I have a set choreographed piece, but I forget because I'm having too much fun. And I'm like, oh no, I forgot I was just having a blast. Um, so those are fun gigs too, where like it still works out. No one knows I like messed up, but I know that I'm like, oh, I just like really jammed out too much that time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I've went on a tangent there.
No, 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 no. Yeah, right, right on point. Because it's like it was a joyful experience for you to do that.
Yeah.
So, um, like, what is a typical practice session for you? Like, is it with music? You like what comes first, the music or the
Oh,
choreography?
yeah. Oh, good question. It all actually depends. I love music.
Mm,
Um, yeah, my range and type of music that I like is really broad, which I'm super thankful to have. Family who showed me different types of music, my partner who showed me amazing types of music, and I think being a mover, also you just are drawn to unconventional music that just moves you instead of what vocals are saying. I do like vocals. I do like electronic. I do like sounds. I've had this really good thing where like sometimes it's not even about how it's melded together. If it's just a bunch of sounds, I'm still into it.
mm,
Um, but I can get inspired. Recently, my last few acts have been inspired by the music. And I will hear the music and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, or that's weird, or I want to do something with it. And I'll put it kind of like in a folder or a file, and I'll sometimes save them until I have a gig coming up, like a stage show or something that I know I can present something new or
mm,
something that I'm working on. Um, so that's exciting because I get the idea from the music and kind of the character, and the tricks I want to do kind of come with the musicality of the music. As a
mm.
multiple hula hooper, my shows usually go from one hoop to six, give or take, or one to five, or like,
All at once?
yes, but gradually. So if my set is like if I have a 3 minute or a 4 minute show or like set choreographed piece, within those minutes, I will go from like one to five or one to six, or like that. That is how I like to build my shows, so I
Mm,
can showcase all of my multi hoop stuff, all my multi hoop
mm,
tricks. Um, so when I listen to the music, I also use the musicality in there to feel what is the best build up, or what I feel the best tricks go with that type of music. Usually I'll
mm,
start with one because if the music starts off slow, I like to be more moody, or more movement within my body. Within with training circus and finding circus, I also found my like form of adult trained dancer, where I've like started to spend time and money into training contemporary and street dance, which has been really amazing and really bridges a lot of the circus and contemporary movement and circus
mm.
and like street dance movement together, which I really love. Um, yeah, so and then sometimes, yeah, no, I think most of the time it starts with music. Yeah. Now that I think about it, it usually starts with music, or it will start with these tricks I want to showcase. If I've been working on certain tricks and I'm like, oh, I want to bust this like really, really good one out, I will make sure to put it in somewhere and just know that I'll have it in somewhere when I build another act somewhere. Or if I already
Mm.
have an act, I'll add that big trick in replace of something
Ah,
else to see
right,
if it
right,
will
right.
work.
Swap it out with what was there
Swap it,
before.
yeah, exactly, to see if I can get it. See if I can get it with the
So,
pressure and the adrenaline rush, really.
like, I'm used to seeing, one or maybe two hula hoops. How do you do? Like, why did you get, or what inspired you to start going with more hula hoops?
Oh, what inspired me to go with more hula hoops? I think, well, my mentor, uh, who I studied with, Ali Oops, who is now living in Newfoundland, actually, so close to you. She is a multi hula hooper, and I remember when I started watching her being able to split the hoops with like confidence and control and like fun was very like powerful. And I just remember looking at her and just being like, wow, like I like that. Like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And like, there are so many different styles of hula hooping. Some people do a lot of smaller hoops or bigger hoops, and like they're all used for different things. But I really found my like niche and my love in multi hoops. I also like to spin a lot while I'm hula hooping. So when
So spin the hoop or spin yourself.
spin myself. So as
Oh wow.
I'm, yeah, so I like also doing that. And I find with multi hoops, it's really fun to like to straighten out while you spin and then hold the pose.
It
Yeah.
sounds
So that
so complicated, man.
I know but all it is a plastic circle, and you spin, it spins, we're all spinning. Like
do
it
do they light up?
Yeah,
Do you,
so
uh,
we do have, there are LED hula hoops out there, and there's like an array of them, from the like $1,000 a piece hula hoop to like a $400 a piece hula hoop. Like they're pricey.
oh, those things are not cheap.
They're not. So yeah, respect for like, and this is the thing too, as a multi hooper, I can't just have one. Like I
Right,
need
right,
six.
right.
So it's like, okay, like I've got to work for that budget. But then there are also fire hula hoops as well, which are really amazing. So
So
it's,
how does that work?
yeah, it's a circle, and then there are wicks sticking out of them with a ball and
Oh,
water. Right.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah. So it's not like a ring that's on fire.
Right, so the fire is away from you. Cause yeah, I was thinking it's a ring on fire.
I'm sure there's a way, though. I'm sure there's always
Oh
a way.
no,
In
fire is
circus, there's
freaking me
always a
out.
way. Oh,
So well, you do the hoop thing, but you also do hosting.
yeah.
How did the hosting thing come about, and what do you like about hosting?
Yeah. So, how did hosting come about? I actually used to work on a luxury train that traveled the Canadian Rockies called the Rocky Mountaineer. I did that for over
Okay,
10
that's a
years.
very expensive thing to do, but one day I want to, cause like the experience, like the photos are insane. The
Mhm,
videos of people like on social media that have been in there
mhm.
and say, but anyway, go ahead. So you were walking in the
No,
train.
so I was working on the train as a host. I did that for like, yeah, 8 to 10 years. I have
Wow.
I like I in my other hats, I do have a background in like tourism and event management. So I have like
Oh, okay.
education in that. So when I moved to BC, making sure I like had work, I worked within like the tourism and sector and stuff like that. So being on the host, you have to host, you have to MC. You're telling stories about what's on the right, what's on the left, history, mile markers. You're entertaining people, like you're a stand-up comedian. Like my jokes are so good. And yeah, you're just an entertainer. You just, yeah. And then you also have to do like safety demonstrations and stuff like that. So also like give information. And when I started doing that, it was a lot of fun. Like you can really bring your own. I always like to call it that that was a different character of my circus persona, because you are like in a tie or in a bow tie with like, a very proper way.
Hmm.
But that just gave me the love for like telling stories and giving information. And when I get excited about something, I feel that I express that as I'm speaking. And other people also get excited or
Hmm.
passionate about something. And there was a lot of good history pieces I really liked talking about on the train. They
Hmm.
weren't all necessarily the best history pieces, that they weren't the most, but they were the most truthful history pieces as we were
Hmm.
going along the railroad. Um, so then from there, I then started hosting a few dance like shows. I danced with a dance company in Vancouver called Omnica in Motion, which is a circus and dance collective. And they were producing shows, and they got me to host one of the dance shows. So I started doing that. And then I started subbing for an event called Alt Art Battle. I don't know if you've heard it. It's kind of all throughout Canada. It's like
Complaint.
artists, it's timed, and then there's a DJ, and then there's someone on the mic being like 3, 2, 1. Well, that was me. So I would sub in because my partner, he used to DJ art battles.
Mm.
So many worlds colliding. All of a sudden, a position for a residency for Art Battle Vancouver came about, and I was so excited to accept that position. So I actually did an art battle artist residency for like a year or two, give or take, throughout the
Oh.
season. And it was once a month, and I got to host art battle and give people information and tell them stuff and tell some jokes. Same thing like the train, essentially. And then a few like friends, like birthday parties and things like that. So it just kind of came a little natural and fun. And when I was applying for Future Forest, I kind of put in there like, hey, I also like host and MC things. Um, Let me know if there's something else you want me to do. And when they offered me the burlesque show hosting, I was so excited. And I was like, okay, the burlesque show, like that's a big thing. That's like, you know. And
Yeah.
then when I got there, I didn't realize how much of a big thing it really was. And like, I was like, okay, cool, burlesque show, right? And then I was talking, some of the admin organizers were amazing. They actually let me print off my MC notes at their office and
Oh,
gave me
nice.
a clipboard because I was flying 3 flights to get there. So it was actually like really super, super nice. They supported me so much, and they were like stoked for me to MC the burlesque show. And
Mm.
someone was like, you know, the burlesque show is like a big deal, right? Like everybody loves it, and it's like the best show here. And I went, oh, okay. And then she's like, yeah, people like closed down the market and some shops to go watch the show. And I go,
Wow.
oh, okay. And then I'm like, no pressure, no pressure. And I get there and it's packed. And I'm like, it was so amazing. It was so good. And I
Nice.
felt so welcomed, and everyone was so nice. And it was literally kind of like art battle because I didn't have a wireless mic, which I requested, or I request for next year maybe, or like I said, ooh, maybe we should get one. Just because I would have liked to be more in the front and interactive and like hang out with the people. But it was very art battle like, where I was in the DJ booth with the DJ, which was totally fine. And I made my
Mm.
jokes and it was like fine, and the information got across. I don't have to be on stage. It's not about me, but
Mm. How do you prepare for that? Because like
oh,
there were different people in the
mhm.
show, and like I mean you're kind of responsible for bringing the audience into the show and introducing the performers too.
Yeah. So luckily I got some information beforehand. I kind of
Uh-huh.
wanted to know the history about like I did research in a sense of like um, what is and who is Future Forest, right? Like I'm going there. I did actually a lot of research on the indigenous land, Wollastigway. Oh yeah, I think I said that right. But I did research on the indigenous land that we were on, and just like the area, and like really understand the New Brunswick in that kind of atmosphere, because coming from the
Mm.
West Coast, that's just important for me in hosting anything. What land I'm on, like what's the organization like. Um, the stage manager and stage performance organizer, she was amazing. I love her. And she had bios ready for me like days, like a week before. So I had the
Oh, nice.
bios. Um, of course, because I was super busy touring all other festivals, I had no time to do anything. But because I was taking 3 flights to get there, I knew I had time on the flight. So luckily, my flight had free Wi Fi, and I
Nice.
was literally just on my phone because I was like, okay, I'm not traveling with my laptop. So I was on my phone um, rewriting those bios
Mm.
because I needed to rewrite them in my own words. I needed to rewrite them in
Mm.
like words that when I say them, they feel like something I would say, and like the intros and the outros and the like, let's hear it for, and the, all those little like small little tidbits. So I literally wrote the script on the plane, and then my other 2 planes, I would just keep reading the script. So I could make it sound like it was just coming out of my voice more naturally.
Mm. Mm.
Um, Yeah, and then it was pretty much making sure I got there early enough so I can meet everyone and confirm everyone's pronouns and relay what I wrote to them to make sure that they like it.
Mm, mm, mm,
because some people's information in their bio could have been like later, or they don't want that said, or like, like some people's bios are up to date, but maybe people were like, oh, I like there were some people who were like, oh, actually, we don't need to say that, or can we say this, or oh, I'm really excited about this right now, and I'm like, great, this is
mm-hmm,
why. And also, a few people dropped out, like couldn't come to the festival, and a few people came in, so I had to do some like bios on the fly. So it was really great just to connect with those people right away. And for me, making sure that I see the person, confirm pronouns, and confirm my little tidbit of the bio that I rewrote just so they feel
mm,
good about it.
mm-hmm.
Some people really liked it. So I was like, yay.
Okay, so yeah, I mentioned this at the top of our chat that you're doing the retreat. I saw your story
Oh,
about the retreat.
yeah.
So tell me about that. And I mean, no, it's happening next year, but yeah, walk me
Yeah.
through it.
So, yeah, Oasis Hoop Retreat in Costa Rica. An amazing team of people are running it. An amazing team of people that I met here on the West Coast. Some of them are local from the West Coast of BC here. Um, and yeah, I kind of know them through other hoop retreats that we've either um, been involved in, or they've also put on some other things here on the West Coast.
Mm,
And yeah, I applied because it looked amazing to go there. And I had this kind of concept and like just drive to understand more and kind of break down the like information on the history of hula hooping and the history of circus arts or the history of the hoop. um like we're not reinventing the wheel. It's literally a circle. We can literally go back to like who invented the wheel, who invented a circle. They invented it. But it's really interesting to find the connections of this circle, either it be by wood, bamboo, roots, plastic, like this circle that so many different indigenous cultures all over the world actually started using, playing, exercising with. I don't like, there's so many different avenues. And I wanted to figure this out on my own because as a kind of like a non-indigenous person to North America, and I know indigenous hoop dance is quite prominent here in North America and is still practiced. I wanted to find the history of all of the hoops and understand where all of the history of hoop dance from different indigenous cultures from all over the world come from. And I was like, maybe if I want to nerd out on this, other people want to nerd out on this and actually like want to learn.
mm,
Because some people don't even know like the history of like it only becoming a plastic hula hoop in the 60s because someone went somewhere else and saw someone else playing with something similar and then carbon
mm.
copied it with plastic. So
Oh.
yeah, it's such an interesting. And then they brought it to America and they're like, oh, the hula hoop was born in like the 1950s, 1950s, 60s. So it's just kind of like really interesting where some people's knowledge may go as far back to that, but there's so much more beyond that.
Mm,
And if we're like, for me, if I want to continue hula hoop for a long time, like I've been hula hooping for a long time, and for me to like, what do I say, like stay relevant, stay fresh, keep the fire burning, keep the passion growing, keep being curious. I
mm,
really want to like find all this out, and if other people want to learn or share, I'm totally open to it. And so when I applied with this workshop to Oasis, and they were like, this sounds amazing, we'll really do it. I'm like, oh my God, like no one's ever chosen this workshop before. Like I've only been putting it out there for the last little bit, not too much, but
mm,
it hasn't really like been fully developed. But now that it's getting more developed, I'm like, and there's more drive for it to get developed because I know other people want to know about it. It's going to be really cool. And I'm really excited. And I'm excited I get to go to Costa Rica to present this amazing workshop, and everyone from all over the globe that are coming there. I've been able, like, so lucky to be able to meet them in either different, like maybe like I've known people that are going that have been that I haven't seen in like 5 years or even like 6 years, and
mm.
or people like, so it's really cool that a retreat far away from everybody kind of really brings together different people and people who have made cross paths like years ago too within the circus and hoop retreat kind of community and or like touring.
Well, that's really really cool. Thanks for walking me through that because I was wondering how it's gonna be, and yeah, Costa Rica is pretty cool too. One thing though that also comes out, especially in your captions, is how I guess in touch with the spirit, yourself, mental health, and all those kind of like coalesce in all the things you do. And I was and also like finding out about the land you're on, like when you talk about what you do with Future Forest and what you're talking about doing with your workshop, like all those things all come together to form things that are really important to you. And I'm curious, why are all these things important to you? And why do you feel the need to share it?
Oh, these are such great questions. I love it. Um,
I'm just bringing
oh,
out my bangers.
no, I love it. This is, you know, I'm a mixed race person. My parents were immigrants to Canada, so I'm like the firstborn Canadian within that generation, and unpacking where I come from and why my parents came to this country, um, and then understanding what happened after my parents came to this country, either
Mm,
the racial assimilations or what happened to this land as my parents were coming here. Those weren't necessarily things that, again, weren't taught in school, or my parents weren't educated because they came here with one dream. And, you know, that's family, that's providing. And, you know, they had to do what they needed to do to make ends meet and to fit in within this culture that we have.
mm,
Um, yeah. And so when I was looking through my history, like my history is also kind of this Canadian history, this land. I was born here, so I feel like I have three different places to really learn about the history, the geology. I really love learning about all those places' geology. And for me too, because when understanding where my father comes from in South America, he's from Chile, understanding that my grandfather was Mapuchin, which is the indigenous culture to indigenous peoples to Chile, that really gave me more of a drive also to understand the indigenous cultures of South America and how they're quite reflective to the indigenous cultures within North America, and how they're still kind of fighting the same fight, right? It's
mm,
just different parts of the equator. And that was really interesting. And I just, you know, I find, like, again, it's one of those things that, like, if I find interesting and if I talk about it, maybe other people also find it interesting. And because of my background being so unique or just eclectic or different, I find that if I don't tell these stories, they might get lost within my generation. Because, like,
mm,
my mom coming from Laos in Southeast Asia, there are no records. They came over during the Vietnam US war, or more, sorry, the US war. So there is no record space beyond that. My dad coming from Chile during the Pinochet era, all political refugees, all coming here, fleeing their land. There are some records, and I do still have family in Chile, but it's different. So, like, it's always so different when you think of that type of record to like European records, where there's so much records and things like that, and so much history, that I find that if I don't express that or talk about it, I don't want to lose it.
mm,
And so, what's really cool about social media is like being able to connect with people who are very similar, like the type of Chilean hula hoopers I've been able to connect with, or the South American, or the Hispanic, the Asian, to know there are people that are like me but different out there
mm,
in the world.
mm,
Even just talking about the Lao dysphoria, with like Lao Americans or Lao Canadians. It's been really amazing to be able to connect that through either Instagram or Facebook, and like seeing that there's a whole other like world to that, because there wasn't just me that came, like parents that came over during war, right? There's so many other parents that did that and had kids, and now we're growing up, and now we're trying to find our culture within this subculture of North America without losing ours, but then
mm.
grasping that, like, you know. So yeah, and like kind of like the whole like mental health side of everything too is like mental health is really, I find really important to talk about. I come from a family that has struggled with a lot of mental health. My mother struggled with a lot of mental health. And so again, it was that like if maybe if I talk about it for my own healing, you know, like either
Mm,
through therapy or through just sharing stories, like there are other people out there who might, and I've been able to find other people out there who might resonate the same way. Or just
mm,
maybe there aren't, but it's just it's good for us as humans to get stuff out and not keep things hidden. And like you
mm,
never know who can relate to you. And that's been a really cool thing too, to like find and reach out and see that, you know, we're not really alone in this world.
mm.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for sharing that, because one thing I've learned is that sometimes, and personal experience, when you read something from someone else's view and it's like, oh shoot, you feel like that too, it makes it a little bit easier to like whether carry it or to think of sharing it, because you don't feel so alone. So I want to say thank you for saying that.
Thanks.
Okay, I want to end it with this question. You have so many things on the go. You have the circus, you have all these things, you have your relationship, you have your writings, you have preparing for the retreat. When I see someone like self that's so busy and so happy and so enjoying all the things they're doing, I'm like, how do you make it all work?
Oh, the age old question. How do we make it all work? I love a good schedule book. I'm an old
Oh my
school.
god, you write it down?
Oh, like, look, I'm like, see, look, you're in there, 9 a.m., right in there. Like, I don't know what it is. I love me a good schedule book. It just feels good to write things down, cross things out, look at the week and be like, yeah, I can do this. And it helps me, my brain, put things in places to make sure that I can do it. So
Mm,
I need to see the week in like the schedule in a whole week. So I know, and a whole month. So I can see that I'm not like, you know, we've had those phases where we overdo it and burn ourselves out. I
mm,
think now feel like I have a good grasp on like resting and rest days and like just vegging out, watching Netflix. Do not lay down, just lay down. It's okay to just be horizontal for a full day. That's okay.
mhm,
Again, I'm so lucky and privileged that I have the opportunity to do that because some people don't get rest days for anything. Um, but I think I schedule those in sometimes. Eating good food, eating really good food, like full meals, carbs, protein, fat, like you need it, like you need it all. So good meals. I try to stop having coffee at 3 to 4 o'clock if I'm like drinking more than one cup of coffee a day. That's also a thing because then I'll like be too jittery on coffee and then I'll get nothing done. Oh, but yeah, I think that's the schedule. I swear, someone, and there's a thing like I lost my schedule before. Oh man, it was a time, but I like had to go back in and rewrite everything. Like
oh my
there's
gosh.
there's like you have like a history on like Instagram or emails and things, so it's somewhere. But like the book, no, I just love the book. I know it's
Mm.
2024, but love me a good agenda book.
You have this one place where you keep everything. Oh man, Lola, it's great talking to you. Thanks for sharing so much about your story, and I'm really really envious of you living in Vancouver, because like being there was Squamish. Yeah, like the thing. There's a
Yeah.
view up there that's like holy smokes. Because when I was up there, it was still kind of cold. Like the snow was still out there,
Mhm.
but on one side there's water, on one side is mountain, and then you're on snow. It's like stunning. You have a very very lovely city. But thank you so much for coming to the podcast and sharing, and thanks for coming to
Pleasure.
the sanctuary today.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was my pleasure. So great chatting with you. Anytime, call me.